What's up everyone and welcome on back to the channel. It's not a hot take to say that Marvel has been struggling in the recent years with both TV and their films. We've all been assuming that things at Marvel internally were not that great, but now we have proof. An article came out recently from the Wall Street Journal detailing how badly things have gotten at Marvel internally, and some of it is kind of what we assumed, but some of it is way worse than we thought it could be. So I wanted to break down that article, break down Disney's recent comments on Marvel movies because they kind of go hand in hand with this article, and also just wonder, is it too late for Marvel and have they completely destroyed their brand? But before we get into all that, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do deep dives on the film and TV industry, break down film news, and analyze trends. So if you're into any of that, please consider joining me along on this journey, and also please don't forget to like this video as well. I feel like I'm begging every single time that I ask, but it really does help push these videos out and find more people like yourself. So thank you so much for joining me on this video, but let's get into it. So to understand all of this, let's take us all the way back to 2019 when Endgame just came out and became the highest grossing movie of all time. That is, until Avatar re-released to reclaim the top spot just a few years later. I know that they're both owned by Disney at this point, but I feel like James Cameron was genuinely pissed off about Endgame and he forced Disney to re-release Avatar. It seemed that the world forgot about Unobtainium and James Cameron wanted to show them what was up. But anyways, Marvel celebrated, they had their champagne as they rightfully should, and then they got right back to work, figuring out where the next phase of Marvel would go. But they had one massive problem that they didn't see coming. Bob Iger, that squirrely little fuck, then CEO and also now CEO, decided films weren't a priority for Disney, and instead he wanted to build a streaming behemoth that could rival Netflix. Little old Bob knew he needed to front load the streamer with a shit ton of shows and was planning to have Marvel be a part of that plan. Don't you just love it when corporate just makes decisions without asking you if it's feasibly possible? With us normal people, we all know what it's like to get hit with a presentation that you have to research and build in 2 days, and you know you can't possibly hit that deadline. But in Marvel's case, it's kind of similar, but instead of a presentation, they were told that they have to make 70 hours of television that all interconnect. Bob said that if you could get it on my desk by next weekend,
that would be great. Okay.
Oh, and also make it good. They might have missed that part of the ask when it came to Secret Invasion. And Kevin Feige agreed to do this because he wanted to tell more stories in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but also to, and I quote, be an excellent corporate citizen. Which is corporate talk for my boss is making me fucking do this or else I'll get fired. We've all been there, Kevin. I feel your pain. So now they had to have a TV department, and the smart thing to do would be to hire a TV version of Kevin Feige who knows TV left and right, because even though they're very similar mediums, they are completely different, and then this person would simply report to Kevin. But they didn't do that. Instead, they rapidly expanded and had Kevin oversee both departments and run them the exact same way that he runs film. The way Kevin ran films is not that great, but it does work for him and it does work for Marvel. He is a wildly successful producer, so I don't want to criticize this part too much. And apparently how he runs films is he is super involved in the development of the film, but then he has an executive go and oversee shooting, and then he gets really involved in post-production and in reshoots. They apparently had a recurring joke stating we can fix any movie if we just shoot it again. And I could fix my entire life if I could do it all over again. And Kevin decided to use this exact same method that he uses for 2 to 3 hour movies, and he applied it to 8 hours worth of content. And we all know how that worked out. We knew things were bad, right? Because The Hollywood Reporter broke a story in 2023 about Daredevil when it was reported that these shows did not follow the typical TV model, and they did not have showrunners, and they were writing on the fly. I do go into this in an earlier video if you want a more cohesive breakdown, but this article sheds so much more light on just how bad things got at Marvel. Kevin is always a control freak, right? That's just how he is. Every director has basically said that when you work for Marvel, you are a director for hire and you do whatever Kevin says, which is fine in this instance. That works for them, but he continued to be a control freak all throughout the entire TV process, being the final say on every single creative issue for 8 hours worth of television. It got so bad that creators and executives would work for weeks, and then all of that work went to waste once Kevin weighed in and gave them notes with little time to actually make these changes because they had deadlines to make. I guess that's what happened with the finale fight in Moon Knight. They missed their deadline, so they went with the old, hey, what if he blacks out and we actually don't see anything that happens? Because that's not relevant. And some staffers apparently would even chase Kevin Feige down in the halls just to get answers. Can you imagine working at Marvel? You're getting your coffee, you're walking back to your desk, and then you get stiff-armed by some executive because Kevin Feige is kind of near you. So obviously things did not work out. The TV shows weren't always hits, both critically and commercially, and their movies, which is what made Marvel, suffered too. And by trying to rapidly expand, they actually shrunk their franchise. Both employees and fans acknowledge that Marvel now has fatigue, and it's become a no new fans club, and even Kevin Feige told his coworkers watching all the TV shows and movies started to feel like homework. I literally state this back when I was discussing Captain America Brave New World and how it may not make money, citing this very problem, if you want to check that out. And all of that makes sense when you think about it. Of course, there are those Marvel superfans who watch absolutely everything, even shit that they claim to hate, but yet they can't stop watching. But the majority of these fans are just normal people who watch most of what they produce, but they may miss some movies and they definitely miss some of their TV shows. And some very important things do happen in these shows that no one is watching. I'm very curious to know if the majority of casual Marvel fans know that Maria Hill is fucking dead. If you want to get into Marvel, it is a fucking commitment because the quality is not that good and it will feel like homework. And then on top of all of this, the terrible leadership, the shitty shows, the shitty movies, they also do cost a fuck ton of money, and they finally realized that and literally stopped equipment from being shipped to Atlanta for Blade because they realized that they should probably have a script before they shoot a movie. By the time Mahersh finally plays Blade, I don't think there will be a single soul left on this earth that actually remembers that he originally played Cottonmouth in Luke Cage. So do I blame Kevin Feige for all of this? Yes and no. The dude is obviously super fucking talented. He's proven himself many times, but he should have trusted other people in this instance. But I do fault Disney more for thinking that one person can do two different high-stress, high-involvement jobs. It's such an obvious thing. It's like whenever I doubt my intelligence, I see stories like this where I'm like, well, I wouldn't have fucking done that. So maybe I am smarter than someone who's running a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. And this is all kind of a trend, not just for Marvel either, but for every company, thinking that one person can oversee multiple departments, thinking that they can do a good job doing this. But they obviously fucking can't because it is impossible. But these companies think they're getting a good 2-for-1 deal like at a grocery store, when in actuality, they're just driving someone to an early death at 55. So where does Marvel go from here? They did do a creative overhaul where they realized that Kang wasn't working. That Jonathan Majors news seemed to work out very well for them. They decided to cut back on their shows, only releasing 1 to 2 shows a year, and they are ordering multiple seasons at a time, which is very good. And they're hiring a senior executive to oversee their TV department. And even Bob Iger admitted their mistake, stating that they are pivoting back to what worked before, and Thunderbolts is the start of revamping everything back. And look, I hate Bob Iger. I think every move he made during his initial run was a short-term solution that caused long-term problems, and that's why Disney live action is a complete mess. Pixar had layoffs for the first time in history, Star Wars was made without a roadmap during its first initial trilogy, and Marvel's brand is damaged, all because he forced them into a TV department. But I will give credit where it's due. He did recognize that this hurt Marvel, and they are trying to course correct. I respect that. But it does beg the question, is it too late for Marvel? Thunderbolts came out, and even though it was absolutely phenomenal, one of the best Marvel movies ever made, I genuinely teared up at this movie. Never thought that would happen. But even though Marvel delivered, people still did not show up. It opened up to less than Captain America Brave New World, and it has only made $300 million worldwide. People may already be fed up with Marvel, and they're tired of it. And to get people back into their good graces, Marvel may need to lose a lot more money. It's not looking like they're making any money on Thunderbolts, so that means Fantastic Four will really have to prove itself both critically and commercially. Critically, that is all in Marvel's hands, right? That is all on them. But even if they do it right, even if they deliver, people may not show up, as we saw with the Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts got critical acclaim, it got great word of mouth buzz. Everyone was saying, Marvel's back, you gotta go see this, and it still just wasn't enough. So they have to really hope that people are excited for the Fantastic Four and show up, and if not, it gives them quite the conundrum. Either they keep going this way, focusing more on quality, hoping that the brand does get restored, but if they keep doing this, they may be losing a lot of money in the meantime. And also planning the future may be very difficult as well, because they won't know which characters to focus on because these movies keep underperforming. And if they keep underperforming on the money aspect, then Kevin Feige may be finding his way to the unemployment line and begging his old coworker James Gunn for a job. Or a second option where they overly rely on cameos and nostalgia in bringing back actors who claim that they were done with their roles because they know that people will show up for those roles, as we've seen with Deadpool and Wolverine and Spider-Man No Way Home. And they double down on bringing back past actors for something completely unrelated, like Robert Downey Jr. for Doomsday. I don't like that casting, by the way. I'm open to it, but it just feels a little lazy. But we will wait and see. Or hell, maybe there's a third option where they just kinda stop and figure out something else. But that won't happen. Disney's Frozen head will literally be reanimated and work again before they stop making these Marvel movies. Marvel and Disney have made some very bad decisions in the past 6 years, chasing growth and a path to dominate both film and TV, and in doing so, they damaged their brand, tired out their audience, and gave us Amelia Clarke with a CGI arm. But they have learned from this. They learned to make TV like TV. They learned to hire showrunners. They've learned to focus on quality and the characters of this universe, which is what drew people to it in the first place. And as long as they keep that up, I think they deserve a second chance. But what do you all think about this? Do you think it's a little too late? Do you have any thoughts on just how wild this whole thing is? Let me know in the comments below. And if you made it this far, thank you so much. I truly do appreciate every view, every like, and every single comment. Please don't forget to subscribe for more. And if you do, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.